Hey, what's up, fellow traders? I hope you guys had a great weekend or having a great weekend. We're just halfway through it. Um, I wanted to share with you the journey, wrap up the journey that we were following this week with two of the traders I was doing my shadow mentoring with as they were going through the eval process. One was in take profit trader, one was in trade day. Um, we both traded the same setups the same way. Nothing different. Both prop firms do really, really well. I'm leaning more towards trade day right now because of the ability to get the end of day drawdown, and that would transfer over into your your profit paying account, versus take profit trader where in your test account, your eval account is end of day, but when they move over to the profit paying one, it converts to intraday, which is a little bit different. And if you're focusing on it and it's on your mind, it's going to cause you to think about that versus something else. Um, but I wanted to share this with you guys before we get into that. This is very, very important. And it kind of relates a little bit to what I wanted to share with you about the eval, the drawdowns. Okay, the pessimist complains about the wind. The optimist expects it to change. The realist adjusts its sails. So we're using a sailing analogy. I love to sail. It's something that I can relate to, and I think this was a great quote that I found, and it really hits home. Because this quote basically compares three different approaches to a problem. You know, some traders are pessimists, some traders are optimists, and very few are realists from the start. Okay, but the pessimist is the one that always complains about what's happening. So if you pass your eval and then you move over into the profit pan and it goes to an intraday, which is a little bit tougher. If you complain about it every day, your focus is going to be on the problem. Okay, it's going to be on the problem, and it's going to paralyze you, and it's going to keep you from coming up with a solution to your problem. Be it, working with somebody like me or just trying to figure it out on your own. You just have to make a change. Okay, you can't sit there, bitch, moan, and complain about it because that's not going to fix anything. It's just going to paralyze you and keep you from focusing on a solution because you're focusing on the problem. Now, the optimist, they still may complain a little bit, but they have this feeling that, hey, the storm's not going to last always. So I don't need to go change anything. I'm going to just sit back and wait to see if this thing is going to happen because I know things are going to change. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting the same results. Okay, I know there's a fine line to this when it comes to trading because you're going to have some people, we tell you don't do anything different. But you don't do that until you actually learn how to trade. In the process of you learning, we try to get you to learn how to follow the steps, follow a process. And then as you learn, you start to be able to adjust and not worry about this, that, or the other thing. But if you stuck in this optimist mindset, you're never going to work to try and improve your trading. Again, you're not going to take action to try and change a situation. Now, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And definitely you have to learn the right way. But you cannot sit back and not fix what you are experiencing. It just doesn't work. And a lot of traders never get out of that cycle, and they end up quitting. Okay, but the realist, they're going to accept the challenges. And let's say, using sailing as an analogy, the realist will accept the fact that we might have lost a win. But instead of complaining about it, we're going to, go out and try to find a win. And if you know anything about sailing, the way you find a win, you can read the water. And the water is going to tell you, where the wind is, and where you need to go in order to catch the wind that you need. And it's just like as a trader, you learn how to read price action. Okay, you understand the chart, and you're able to find the move that you want. You're able to find it, be patient, and let it catch up to you, because you put yourself in the right spot. You're not just sitting in the same spot hoping things come to you. You're not sitting there bitching, moaning, and complaining about it. You're actually taking action steps to improve your trading. And honestly, this is kind of what we've been focusing on, and I focus on this a lot in the shadow mentoring sessions, because you'd be surprised how many traders that are trying to learn just really complain about the price action and how it just goes against them and all of that. And they don't understand that that's what's supposed to happen. When you get in a trade, it's not supposed to go in your direction all the time, every time, without making adjustments. It there's no way. So, we have to break out of that. And then just sitting there not doing anything, expecting it to work, and not really understanding what you're looking at and what the trade is doing, that's wrong. That's going to cause you to mess up as well. So you want to make sure that you understand, that you accept the fact that the market's going to move against you sometimes. It's not going to do the right thing, but you have to adjust your mindset in order to be successful in the trade. And that's the whole gist behind this. Okay, make sure that you're not in the pessimist mindset. Make sure you're not the optimist mindset. You want to be a realist. You want to be able to navigate, read the waters, find out where you need to position yourself based on what you're seeing, and make it happen. And that's what we do. All right, so let's take a look real quick at our traders. Okay, I'm not sure if they just haven't updated the 5-day deal yet, but there is the 5-day. They did change it from 7-day to 5 days. Okay, they did that. It's announced on their website, and I don't know if this is an account that he had from before when it was 7 days, and that he just reset it If he did that, then yeah, we're on 7 days. So he's gonna have to find out Monday, um, what he's on. But if we were doing the 5 day, if he got it under the 5 day deal, we're done. You could see we did have the inconsistency breach, but it was only by about $5. 900 was the max. 30% of 3,000 was 900. Um, but we only went over it by $5.20, and that changed the the goal to 30-17-33. But he ended up with 30-26-16. With a small trade on Thursday, small trade on Friday. Um, we ended up here, and you can see the consistency, pass, profit target, pass. Just gonna have to wait to make sure that he's on the 5 day deal. But if he's on the 7 day, then we've got 2 more days of taking small trades. And when I say small trades, it's not looking for anything different than what we've been looking for. It's just that, when it moves and he gets a little green, just needs to close it out and sit back and wait for the next day, do the same thing, because we, together have already hit the profit target. So the only thing I don't like about trade day is that there's no way for me, it doesn't have a report that shows us, how many, what the P&L was for each day. Like Take Profit Trader does. That's a really good tool. It also has that little graph that kind of shows you your progress. But a really really good day. I shared with you the 3 big days that we had: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday and Friday were just kind of little days. We started the trade that we always take, and then just shut it off. Not sitting there waiting to see what it's gonna do. And then the trader I was working with in Take Profit Trader, if you remember, the first 2 days we basically, we were only $35 away from the profit target. You can see 26,465. So he only needed a couple of small days, and we had 3 small days. I think Friday night, he said he got the email saying that this was approved and all of this stuff. So in both instances, we were done really before the week was out. We just had to, maintain and just take a couple of trades, and that's that. And you can see we only took 1 trade Wednesday, 1 trade Thursday, 1 trade Friday, and still there's no issue with this. I think if you're in a prop firm like Apex, probably wouldn't like that. But this is good. So now I've got 2 more. This is like the 3rd week in a row. 2 more guys ready to run. They've got 5 accounts each. I think you can do 6 accounts now in trade day, but he's got 5. This guy's got 5. And the key is, when you're trading multiple accounts, don't worry about it. Just have it set where you're only watching one account. You're not looking at all 5 accounts and looking at the P&L on all 5 accounts. You're not, and the P&L on the platform is going to reflect all 5 accounts. So you don't want to look at that. You just want to focus on the chart and not worry about how many accounts you're trading. You're focusing on one account, one chart, and that's it. And that's kind of the secret of getting through this. But just wanted to share that with you guys. And if you are interested in more information about the shadow mentoring that I do, shoot me an email, ed@tradingperformancespecialist.com, or send me a message here on this platform or on the website. Really simple. I'll be more than happy to share any information with you about it. My focus is to help you navigate this so that you can be successful. That's what it's all about. So I will have my email and everything in the description of this video. But just wanted to share this with you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will catch up with you next week.